Welcome, Jan. You were at the Barbarians. A couple of things happened there. Before we go to the Springboks and the SA18, tell us quickly what's the situation at the Barbarians. We don't know who they are, who they're going to be playing. A couple of new developments there. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so first of all, the Barbarians have got a habit of not naming the team. Lately, they haven't even named the squad. So they'll name individual players, like when Warwick Gelant was signed, they named Warwick Gelant, which we saw yesterday. He was there. Today, Oliver Kebbel arrived, the Stormers and Scotland prop. He arrived for his first training session. So he's a new addition. So, it's like a Springboks against the Stormers on Saturday. Well, not quite, but I mean, they got Andrew Callaway, they got Lavanini, that Argentinian guy. And obviously Razor is coaching them, but it's very relaxed. It's very different. And every player that you speak to say they love playing for the Barbers, not just because of the occasion, not because it's such a prestigious team, but it's different. It's old school. They practice a couple of times. It's not serious practice. It's not a post practice. They're not going to win the World Cup tomorrow. They go there to enjoy the game, and they actually and there's a lot of fun. They had the Atlas Foundation there today, which is a foundation that mainly looks after deaf kids, and we had quite a funny incident. The Barbers were doing drills, some basic drills with the players. And Duan van der Merwe, the other South African, not a Stormer, but a Scotsman, Duan van der Merwe said to the kids, deep, pass deep. And all his teammates start bursting out and laughing at him and said, they're deaf, they can't hear you. poor Duan van der Merwe was blood red, but everybody took it in a good spirit. I think, everybody understands sometimes even players like that, the instinct kicks in. And but it's a very relaxed atmosphere, and I think they're looking forward to given the quality of the team they play against. I still think the Springboks will win, but these Barbers are not bad. Like I said, they got Lavanini, they got Callaway. There's a few other players which I don't recognise. So we'll see when they announce the team tomorrow. They announce their team tomorrow afternoon. When they announce it, we'll see who's starting and who's on the bench.
Just quickly, who's now the actual coach? Because we see Scott Robertson's name, we see Felipe Contepone's name. They're both head coaches of the national sides. Or they were, Scott Robertson's case. Who's the actual coach and who's the assistant?
They are both coaches. So Razor and Contepone are both there, and they both took part throughout. So Razor spoke when they split, when they looked, but it's not serious. So you can see they do basic drills just so the guys can understand the basic, get to know each other. So one of the games they played is where the two players hold the ball and they got to press their hands against the ball. So I don't know if the guys can see me. So this is the ball. You got to press your hand against the ball. The other player presses his hand against this side, and you got to hold that ball above your head the whole time. But at the same time, two other players have got a ball. So there's a group of 5 or 10, and you got to try and smack the ball down. If you smack the opponent's ball down, he's out of the game. Last man standing. So one of those. So it's simple, fun games that focuses on concentrating on what's happening around you. Because the opposition comes sneak up behind you, and a lot of times that happened. They were looking at somebody that side, and then somebody sneaked around them in the back. So that's the sort of fun stuff that they do. It's very relaxed, and it's. If you haven't seen a Barbers practice before, it's sometimes worth just going around when they're in your part of town. They're in Cape Town at the moment. That's why I was there. And they trained at UCT. Yesterday they trained at Rondebosch. And it's very relaxed. It's and the players, I mean, you can walk up to the players, not necessarily right up to them, but you can stand pretty close next to the field. It's not as controlled as it is at the Springboks, where you kept it an arm's length.
Well, yeah, that's we were waiting for you to come back, so it was worth the while to go to have a look. And so again, we apologize. I see one of the people in the comments said it's like waiting for the president for his hello South Africa, my fellow South Africans. So we apologize for running a bit late. It's not we wanted to give you as complete a picture as we.
So MJ, I've got to mention this to that person who said, that viewer that said it's like waiting for the president. One of the reasons why we ran late is because the president's cavalcade went past UCT on the highway. On the way to whatever event he's attending. So all sorts of things happen. Then traffic gets stopped. Then you get that's just one of those things. So yes, you are waiting for the president to get past so that we can get home.
Oh, as we said, this is you and I, our first live together. So, and then I go and start speaking in Afrikaans. Can you believe it? But anyway, let's move on swiftly.
Dis lekker, man. Ons praat wat ons wil. As jy Spaans kan praat Spaans ook.
No, I can't speak Spanish. So let's stick to the English for now. But let's talk about those South African teams. Now, firstly, let's look at the SAA team, because that's going to be the first game against Zimbabwe. And by the way, guys, we had an episode with Kennedy Timber and Hugh Griffin, and then about who the Zimbabwe team is going to be, and they will publish that probably on Thursday or Friday. Just have a look for that, because quite a few interesting names in there. We looked at what they call the Thunder Squad, who could potentially play for Zimbabwe, the players that qualify for Zimbabwe but might not want to play there as well. And also a special guest in that program was Tonderai Shivanga. There's a name you haven't in a while, but he was also part of that discussion. So looking forward to that. Let's look at that SAA team. Quite a strong team, but quite a young team. A little bit of experience mixed in there, but pretty much almost a little junior Springboks here.
Yeah, I think Lukhanyo Am and Pepsi Buthelezi might be called Opa in that team. That's for sure. Certainly Lukhanyo, he's well past that. He's they have to call him at least Oom in that team. Pepsi is not far from that. Tsutuka is also there, the captain. So, mind you, there's Neethling for sure. Yes, Neethling's a proper Opa. I think looking at the team, there's a number of interesting young players mixed with some experience. But Rassie said earlier, he wants to give the players a run in this. Remember, because it's called the SAA team, they're now capped. If they play for this team, they're capped for South Africa. So they can't go play for any other country. So that's one way of locking them in. You play this game, that's it. If you think you're not going to make the Springbok cut eventually down the line, or you're not going to get proper caps, sorry, apologies, and you've got ambitions of playing international rugby, don't play on Saturday. But I think the reality is these players will all be capped. And the best of our young players. So I see Bowen Venter's name is there as well. So, yeah, I would say 5 of those guys are there to help the youngsters and guide the youngsters through what's going to be a challenging test. They should still win, I think. But that's a good way of giving the youngsters a baby box some good experience. And a number of these players will probably go on to contest when the baby box leave for Georgia for the World Championship, the Under-20 World Championship. They'll be in that squad, so this will be a good experience for them.
Yeah. Now, interesting thing, Ruben van Heerden at last gets a run, but he gets a run on the SAA side. But his compatriot Andre Smith is on the bench as well. That's interesting. But for me, that caught my eye. We remember we were talking about Rowan Venter as he was earmarking him to play at 4 lock. And here's Vincent Tsutuka playing at 4 lock and captain. I mean, that's a similar move almost, from the side of the scrum to the engine room.
Well, Vincent's played a lock for the Sharks already, so it's not that surprising to me personally. That Rassie is looking for that Franco Mostert, Peter Steff type player that can really play flank. That's mostly a flank, but that can play at lock. So yeah, that's and he's also gone public with that. So I think that's what Tsutuka is. So if you're that versatile, then you're definitely in Rassie's plans. So I think Tsutuka, depending on injuries and also other things, he might be booking a ticket to the World Cup in Australia next year.
Something that caught my eye is you've got Yakin Ahmed there, and he's obviously playing for the junior box as well, but you've got no fly-off on the bench. You've got 2 scrum-offs on the bench. It's a 5-3 bench, but it's quite a difficult one. Nico Steyn, Imad Khan, and then Lorenzo Julius, the centre. I wonder what the planning would be, who's going to go up and who's going to go down. See, Yaya can play fly-off, if I remember correctly. I think he played fly-off for the Sharks at one stage, and I'm sure that Khilumia can also maybe play fly-off. Might be seeing some changes, moves on the field maybe.
Nico Steyn played fly-off for the Lions already, so he can play fly-off.
But I mean, those 2 on the field, Yaya.
I would say if you look straight at the bench, you will look at Nico Steyn as your obvious option, but there are alternatives.
Yeah, so otherwise this team is just in a bunch of experience, almost a warm up for the Junior World Championship coming up, I suppose, because that's pretty much what it is. Looking at that, so there's not much more to talk about there. let's talk about the actual Springbok side for the Barbarians, because that's more interesting. And the biggest thing for me, there's no big names here. Damon Willems is not there. Eben Etzebeth is not there. Franco Mostert makes a return at 5. I saw him walking around the other day. Remember, I told you, here he is in the Springbok side. And then Riley Norton at 4. There were a couple of question marks about Riley Norton's physicality, call it that, at 4, but he's maybe more of a 5. But he's here been selected at 4, making his debut for the Springboks. That's a big move. Reminds me of Eben Etzebeth in 2012, remember? Maybe this is the start of a long career, but Riley Norton at 4?
Yeah. So let's start with the big names. The names are not there. Rassie hinted strongly last week with their press conference that he might be resting some players. So I think those players are all resting for the England game. Rassie probably realized it's not worth risking key players now in a Barbars game. I wouldn't say it's a meaningless game, but it's a friendly. It's not a cap game. So resting those guys. That means they'll be fit and ready for, and they've probably been training on their own. You find Rassie would, he told us that he already knows who's going to start. The players all know who's going to start. So these guys would have started training together last week, and the players that are not here would have trained together as a group. So back to Riley. At the Barbars game, I had a chat with another journalist, and because I haven't seen Riley up close since the World came back from the World Cup last year, he said to me, people will be surprised how bulked up Riley has become. So clearly, when he was at school, he focused mostly on cricket. So he didn't do a lot of upper body work, and he didn't do a lot of heavy gym work because that would have hampered his bowling. But now that he's focusing on rugby, he's apparently bulking up a bit, and there's a substantial increase in his body mass at the moment. So we'll see on Saturday what he looks like. But I was told that he's actually significantly larger than what he was when he came back from the Junior World Cup last year.
Yeah, but that's one thing to be bigger, but the temperament almost, is that maybe not what they were referring to? That bit of a fire in the belly kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect him to be even Etzebeth just yet. So I think, or a Bakkies birthday yet, but I think putting him in that position, starting to give him a lot of this tells me Rassie's already next year and beyond. We're looking at Saturday's game, but that's our prerogative. That's what the fan in the street there were. He sees the Springbok team. This is Saturday's team, and it is Saturday's team. But Rassie's planning is already for next year and beyond. So this is not a short-term thing for me. I see long-term planning in this. The entire team, I see long-term planning. I mean, the same goes for Quinn Horn. I can't remember ever seeing Quinn Horn playing fly-off. He must have played fly-off for the Lions or somewhere. But there's Quinn Horn at fly-off, The rest of that front pack, Ox, Andre Geventer, we know he's been there. Carlos Hardy. So I had Malcolm Marx, but Malcolm's clearly been rested. And then the locks I got wrong when I selected my team. The loose forwards I got right. Grant Williams I had right. I had Andre Pollard at fly-off, but he's obviously been rested. Edel van der Merwe I got wrong. I got the centers right. Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel. Chesson I got right. And at fullback, I had Damien Willems there, but he's also being rested. So, yeah, all in all, I can see long-term planning in this. Key positions. Rassie wants a bit more depth, and maybe Riley is that extra layer in the second row that we need.
Okay, I'm going to try and put the team up on the screen here, people. Just bear with me. I'm doing this live on the fly, so it might not be as easy as it sounds. Let's have a look. Let's see if it works. Okay, right. I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. Yeah, there we go. I've got the team up on there so that people can see. Let's just run through the team for the benefit of those who don't have the team in front of them. Apelele Fassi at 15, he's on the way to Japan. That's an interesting one. Cheslin Colby, Jesse Kriel, and Andre Esra as a team, the center combination. I'll talk to you about that just now. It will you mention. Keon Horn, like you said, the biggest surprise. I mean, of all of them, I expected most of those names, but Keon Horn at 10 was like a bolt out of the blue. And I'm sure that Rassie just sits there with an evil smile and say, yeah, I'm going to give you something to think about. And then obviously Grant Williams, Jasper Wiese, Pieter Steff, Siya Kolisi, the old guard kind of a thing. Franco back at 5. Riley Norton we talked about. Then Carlos Sadi at 3. That's an interesting development there as well. Andre Guvente. He's been, angry Guvente, as Harry calls him. He's always angry. He's, at last gets another chance. Then on the bench, JJ Kotze and Tutuku Mchunu. That I think is an overdue selection. I think he played his heart out for the Storm. Has definitely put his hand up. Zachary Porten's been around for a while. Then Ben Jason Dixon, Paul de Villiers, also something that I'm interested to see. I still remember that under-20 game a couple of years ago where they ended up with the blue face. Remember, he was a captain, where it was all, raining so hard and everything else. He's someone to watch out and for as well. And then Evan Roos, we'll talk about just now. Faf de Klerk coming to the Cheetahs. I'm sure Frans Steyn must be thinking, what must he do to get his players to play for him? Because he just signs him and he can't play for the Cheetahs. Shame, man. And then lastly, Vusi Moyo. And also one of the interesting things about Vusi Moyo that we found out from Kennedy is actually, he could play for Zimbabwe as well, but obviously he's going to be a Springbok from now going forward too. So yeah, let's talk about Evan Roos quickly. I mean, I thought he would have been in with a better chance than to start, I suppose, especially in a game like this, but maybe he'll get an extended run. What do you think?
Yeah, people will probably have a nappy rash when I say this, but Evan Roos is not the type of player Rassie likes in his team. It's not his type of number 8 or his type of loose forward. So Evan is a very good player. Let me not beat around the bush. He's a good ball carrier, but there's certain aspects of his game that's lacking. He has a tendency to drift in and out of games, and he has a tendency to give away penalties. He has his, let's say, brain explosions for a more
red mist descending. Yeah, we saw that. Yeah.
Yes, and then he also misses a few tackles. So he's not the perfect. He might grow into that. Who knows? But by next year, this time, he might be our starting number 8. But at the moment, I think that's as close as he's going to get in Rassie's Springbok team.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And Paul de Villiers, I mean, I saw a picture the other day of him standing next to his Stormers teammate, and he's substantially shorter than they are. I never realized how small the guy actually is, and that's probably why he's so good at, the breakdown.
I'll come to you with a name called Heinrich Brosseau. So as they say, it's not the size of the dog, but the size of the fight in the dog. So no, I think Paul is the one player that definitely will fit into Rassie's way of thinking, because he needs somebody there that can slow down. If things get out of hand, he can slow down the ball, and he's very good at it. And his timing, his reading of the game is very good. So yeah, I think he's a really. I think it's a worthy selection, and also with a plan to the future. If things go awry, and suddenly Sia is struggling, Paul can slot in there easily.
Carlos Sadi, of course, was signed for the Bulls to come over from Bordeaux, 2 years ago now, and then he got that neck injury and he stayed with Bordeaux. Never came to the Bulls, and now, at one stage he was close to death almost, from what I heard. The injury was that severe, and now he's a Springbok. I mean, I know it's not a capped game, but still, I mean, that's come a long way.
Yeah, I had a suspicion. So when I selected my team, I did have him in my team. So I had a suspicion that he's going to be there. It's either him or Thomas Dutoit, but Thomas is probably starting against England. So if you look at this team, some of them will start. So let me not beat around the bush. People think I'm saying we know that Jason will be there. We know Jesse will be there. It's either Andre Esterhuizen or Damien de Allende. So probably Damien will play. We'll have one of the Bulls wings when they come back. They'll be available for the other wings slot. Andre Pollard will be back for fly off. Grant, I mean, we know the situation at scrum off, and Kobus Reinach should be ready, but I think Rassie already said he's going to rest him. He's not going to push him for the Nations Championship. He might only start using him for the New Zealand series. So yeah, I think if you look at that team, you can almost start working out what the England starting 15 will look like in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, no, I can suppose that the team will be announced. The team for this for the July test will be announced on Sunday, the 21st. I mean, but for that to happen, we have to get past Saturday, but we also have to get past Friday night, the URC final. And I'm one of those bitter Einder Bull supporters. Third final row, 4 out of 5. Can we just win this thing, man? I mean, it's time now. We can't lose another one. Can you imagine what it will do to the psyche of not just the team, but the supporters?
and the psyche of Johan Ackermann, because with the Lions he didn't win a final. So if he now starts losing finals with the Bulls, he might start doubting himself.
No, you won't. No, Johan is full of confidence. I saw him. I wouldn't say arrogance or anything. That's not even remotely. That's not the man that he is, and I've got to know him quite well. But you can see he's confident. They've got their plans in place. They've got only two players that are not really available, Sebastian de Klerk and David Kriel. But the rest of the team is available. The S&C worked out perfectly. The guys are fit. They're looking good. They're not the favourites, I don't suppose. Not playing against Leinster at home, defending champions away, in Dublin, playing at Croke Park, 82,000 people. I don't know. They're actually going to pitch up, because that seems to be a problem lately, that Irish teams, or Leinster specifically, is drawing some smaller crowds there. But if ever there was a chance, I think this might be one. We just heard Andrew Porter's not going to be playing, so that already puts the already strong Bull scrum, makes it even more dangerous, I suppose. What are you expecting from that game?
We had a chance to chat to Victor Matfield, the former Bulls captain and 3 times Super Rugby champion captain, and Isan Siwa, who did the double with Leinster as captain of Leinster back in 17, 18 or early 20. So he won 4 European champions, European Cups with Leinster. And I'm talking under correction, don't shoot me. I think it's 4. Or he played in 4 finals, but I think he's got 4 titles. So he won then it was still Pro 12. There's still a Pro 12 title. So he won the Pro 12 and the European Cup in the same season. Sorry to get back, distracting myself here. So Victor Matfield said the Bulls scrum will be the key to the Bulls game. And as I said, the Leinster will have that flowing game. They will keep the ball away. So you can expect Leinster, like they did last week against the Stormers, is to avoid scrums. There'll be a lot of free kicks and there'll be all sorts of weird things happening. That's just one of those things. The Irish teams are very good at that. So, and strangely enough, both Isan Siwa and Victor Matfield backed their own teams, but by 1 point. So I think they're a bit undecided. So they just went with their heads, with their hearts, and backed their own team by 1 point.
Can I just say something to Gerard van Tonder here? Gerard, come on, man. This is a rugby chat. We're talking about the whole week in rugby. This is not just a Springbok chat. Jan and I talk every Tuesday. We're just the latest one a little bit to provide for the Springbok side. So I don't appreciate that comment that much. Thank you very much. Anyway, so let's look at the Springbok side that you think might be announced on Saturday. How many of those Bulls do you think might be in that team? If they were available for the selection this Saturday, who do you think would have been?
All 9 of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's an easy answer.
I definitely, I definitely think they'll all be there. So that's what I'm saying. You can already see the starting 15. So the squad will include the bulk of the guys who's being rested, some of the guys that's playing on Saturday, and the Bulls, and then you're going to end up with a squad of 33 or thereabouts. Mm-hmm. So it'll be. How many of them are going to start is a very different question. Obviously, we'll have Ruan at lock, so that's a different thing, and we'll have Eben at the other lock. Maybe Loot comes in, so we can look around that. But I think those Bulls will all, in barring injuries. So injuries is an issue, but barring injuries, I think they will all be in the picture.
Okay, let's get back to the Springboks. Anything that jumped out at you? I mean, we know the Bulls are not available. It's not probably everyone that Cassie would select. We know that he wants to get these guys capped. But now, interestingly enough, we talked about the SAA side being the senior side, so those players that selected to the SAA can't play for another country. But this game against the Barbars is not an official cap. Does this count as a cap now towards not being able to play for another country?
Well, they played for the Springboks, so I'm sure Saru will find a loophole somewhere.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
Short answer, it should not be, because it's not an official cap. Mm. It's not a Springbok Cup. They haven't played for their country in a cap test. But if the SAA team is the official second team and that caps you, then I think the playing against the Barbars also caps you, or should cap you.
Yeah.
I just want to correct myself. I know that Willie Leroux won't be in the squad. We know that. So there'll be 8 Bulls there. My apologies to whoever might think that I missed the point. Thinking on the fly, sometimes you miss but
Yeah.
Villeroy won't be in the squad.
Well, like you said, this is a live one, so there's going to be a couple of hiccups, and I think it's been surprisingly smooth. So yeah, just a quick one. I wanted to catch up with you about the Barbarians specifically. It looks like we're going to be playing pretty much against the Stormers. If it continues like this, the Stormers and Duan van der Merwe maybe. What's your general impressions? Do you think we might see some big names there that we haven't heard from before, or that I already mentioned, the Duan van der Merwe, TJ Perenara, and those ones, and the likes?
Yeah, no. It's the obvious one. The Aussie wing is there. His name's
Will Keller.
Keller is there. Yeah, he's there. So Duan is on the other wing. Warwick Gelant is there. The interesting thing is that Warwick Gelant and Duan van der Merwe played together at Outeniqua at school. It's the first time since they played for the Outeniqua first team. It was an amazing Outeniqua team. I think they came close to the top. They knocked over a couple of big guns that year. Now that team, we're talking about 2013 or thereabouts. So for that team, since then, it's the first time they're going to play. So Warwick Gelant actually spoke to us yesterday, and he was quite happy about it. He was animated about the fact that he can finally play in the same team as Duan again. And you can see, the old schoolmates, and they were ragging each other, and great fun. It's like two friends that they haven't seen each other for a long time. They get together, and immediately the fun starts again. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. Obviously, Oliver Kebbel joined them today. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think we'll see Major. Lavanini is there, I think, if I remember correctly. They haven't named their team yet. They're only naming it tomorrow, so we'll know tomorrow exactly who's there. But I don't think it's going to be big names like that. It's going to be provincial type, international type players, but fringe players, not full on. You won't have a John Smith or a Richie McCaw type icon playing. So yeah, it's going to be a few interesting selections.
Just, from left field a little bit, Scott Robertson, this is now basically his first coaching gig since, getting the sack beginning of the year. What did he look like? Is he all happy and smiley, or can you see a bit of, pressure on his shoulders? I mean, it's the first time I've really seen him since then. What do you think?
Yeah, you got a spot on. So Wim from Netwerk 24 was standing next to me, and he said it's the first time in his life he's seen Razor smiling. So you can see even he's more relaxed, and Contepone loves it. It's that type of game, but it's that type of game that the guys actually, the players, everybody, there's no real stress, win or lose. They're there to enjoy themselves, and that's the importance of this game. It's about the rugby still, and these guys, and they do, believe it or not, they go out every night as a team. They have team functions, they have fines meetings, and so a couple of the guys will be, I think they start drying up by Thursday or Friday, but for the next couple of days they're definitely going to have and by the way, Duan van der Merwe, even though he's a Scotsman, and he knows more about Cape Town, Warwick Gelant and Oliver Kebbel together.
Jan,
he's taking the boys out on town every night.
Well, on that subject, Sigrid Walter just said he worries about you being late because apparently there was a meeting. He wonders whether you weren't caught up in another Barbarians party maybe.
I think I'm a bit too old for. I don't think my kidneys would last all my liver.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm in the same boat as you are. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, Jan. Just a bit of homework here. You'll see in the back there for Jan, there's Rugby Unfiltered. That's Jan's YouTube channel. We do this in collaboration with him. Jan has also got a separate podcast called Rugby Unfiltered with Loffe Elof. Loffe Elof, he used to coach the Lions and also is one of some of the junior Springboks teams. So watch out for that. The link is down in the description below. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this video. Please, guys, share it with your friends. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. That's quite important. Sometimes people think they are subscribed. They're not necessarily are subscribed. So just check that, just double check that. And then also this weekend, we're going to be doing an instant reaction after the Bulls Leinster game. Harry is in Dublin. He's embedded with the Bulls. He's going to be following them around. He's having a closer look. So I'm trying to convert him to Bullsdom. I think I might do that. And then on Saturday, we're going to be doing an instant reaction after the game, after the Springboks game against the Barbarians as well. And then, of course, lastly, on our Afrikaans channel, Raakvat Rugby, both the Bulls game and the Springboks game, we'll be doing Afrikaans commentary, as we normally do, with Simon Rickert, Tuks Kotze, with the guys from Radio Rugby, so watch out for that. Jan, thank you so much for making time for me. Thank you for rushing home to do this one, and again, apologies for being late and starting in Afrikaans. Won't happen again.